So I'm gonna gun it right now. So as soon as I gun it, the front wheels start to slip. I'll do it again. And again, I noticed when the steering wheel is turned, I really spin the wheels a lot. Every time. Did you know that the RAV4 Prime has a combined horsepower of over 300, of which only 52 horsepower is available to the rear wheels? So that gets us to like an 83-17% power split, right? So about 17% of its available power is available to the rear wheels. So is it really a great all-wheel drive car? I was kind of wondering that, right? And it finally rained a few weeks ago. I was losing traction on the front wheels constantly, and I realized it's because the front wheels are just overpowered compared to the rear wheels. Now on dry pavement, it's not as apparent and you can't really tell as much, right? But when we're driving in the rain and you drive just normally, just pretend it's not raining, use the throttle however you want normally, right? It spins the front tires like crazy. So I read a little bit more about it, and I found out the front electric motors on the RAV4 Prime come from the Toyota Highlander. So it has 179 horsepower front electric motors, right? But in the rear, it takes the electric motors from the regular RAV4 hybrid, which is only 52 horsepower. So I get that the RAV4 Prime is kind of like a Frankenstein car and it's like a mixed parts bag. And I love that about this car, just because this isn't the typical Toyota, right? Because the RAV4 Prime is freaking fast, right? But this is where it kind of breaks apart, because yeah, the total power is extremely high and it is extremely powerful, but there was that compromise made. I wish they could have put the stronger rear electric motors from a Highlander hybrid and then keep the regular electric motors from the RAV4 hybrid in the front, something like that, right? I mean, I don't know if that would get us a total combined 300 horsepower or whatever, but I think the stronger rear motors would have helped a lot in the rain. But even though the car still drives great, it's still extremely fast, but I wanted to show you what it's like when you're driving it in the rain. So I'm gonna go out and gun it a few times and show you how it spins the front tires like crazy. So I've owned several all-wheel drive cars. The best ones were probably my Subaru WRX, my Subaru Forester, and we've also had a Honda Pilot all-wheel drive with the super handling all-wheel drive from Honda. And all three systems worked perfectly fine in the rain, really good. But I've noticed in the RAV4 Prime, I spin the front wheels a lot. If my steering wheel is turned a bit and I gun it, I'm gonna spin the front wheels like crazy every time. My Subaru Forester, my WRX, my Honda Pilot, they didn't do that, ever. I never had that problem. So now I know the front wheels are just way overpowered. The rear wheels are underpowered in this car. So I'm gonna gun it right now. So as soon as I gun it, the front wheels start to slip. I'll do it again. And again, I noticed when the steering wheel is turned, I really spin the wheels a lot. Every time it loses traction, if you gun it like even halfway, it's gonna spin the wheels. Now, if you're driving in the rain, it's gonna spin like crazy. And I'm not even blaming the tires on this, because I know the problem is the front wheels are way overpowered compared to the rears. So one comparison I can kind of make as far as the front wheel traction goes is between my old Volkswagen GTI and this car, because my GTI made right around 280 horsepower, right? And obviously it was much lighter than the RAV4 Prime, but it was front wheel drive. And in the GTI, I would say the acceleration feels about the same as the RAV4 Prime, right? But in the GTI, I could spin those front wheels all day. I can spin the front wheels in first gear, second gear, and I could kind of chirp into third gear. I know what pure front wheel drive feels like, right? And that was the GTI. And the RAV4 Prime isn't quite that, right? I get a little bit more traction than that, but it's definitely way less traction than a Subaru Forester or a WRX or like my old Honda Pilot, right? So I want to say The all-wheel drive system in the RAV4 Prime isn't the best, but it's still a lot better than front-wheel drive if I can compare it to my Golf GTI. And I do want to mention that when the front wheels slip, it's not super intrusive. The traction control light does flash on the RAV4 Prime, but it doesn't like kick on the ABS or make any crazy noises, which I've seen in other cars, and that's super annoying, right? But at least with the RAV4 Prime, it sets you straight. Like, you don't change course, you just spin the tires, right? I'd rather do that than have a system that's really intrusive and slams on the brakes for me and stuff. That would drive me crazy. But at least that's not the case in the RAV4 Prime. It lets me spin the wheels. So I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna punch it now. It didn't spin as much, but if you can imagine, if I was in the rain, I would have been spinning that entire time. And I don't know if the camera captured it, but the traction control light lit up, but it didn't take away power from the wheels so much, or at least I couldn't tell. So I want to say the traction control system's great in that respect, right? It's not intrusive, it doesn't make a bunch of noise, and it wasn't bothering me. So I'm pretty happy with that part.